How do we deal with fear? And how do we deal with fear in the work environment? Hello, my name is Greg Story. I'm the president of Dale Carnegie Training Work, broadcasting from our High Performance Centre here in Minato-ku in the very centre of Tokyo. And fear in the workplace doesn't necessarily refer to personal safety. In this particular regard, I want to talk about now. I want to talk about fear in business. I want to talk about fear of failure, fear of being responsible, being accountable for projects. And so when we have fear, what do we do about it? You know, when you're having a hard time, things aren't going so well, results aren't where they need to be, this brings out fear, brings out concerns that we have. And, you know, great Winston Churchill quote was, "When you're going through hell, keep going." I love that quote, but the point there is how. How do you keep going? Fear can strike us in many different ways, and one of the problems with fear is we freeze up. And in a external environment, say I'm an Australian, so growing up in Australia, you're bound to come across a very highly poisonous snake in the Australian bush somewhere. You're walking through the bush, guaranteed you'll see one. Now, you know, if you grew up in Australia, the top 10 most poisonous snakes in the world basically all come from Australia. We treat all snakes as highly poisonous, so your whole body, mind, everything just shuts down. You freeze. If you're walking along, you stop, you freeze. Now, in a situation like that, that's a fight or flight instant reaction. Now, business is not like coming across a snake on the path in the bush. It's more of a gradual thing. Revenues haven't been going well. The project isn't going well. The cooperation's not coming. It's not working out like we planned. It tends to be a bit of a more gradual building up of fear. It might be a new boss has arrived and here come the changes. And there's a bit of fear about your longevity in that company. But that's a gradual thing. So what often happens there is we tend to freeze up at one level, which is our minds are not working well. We've got so much going on in our minds, so much fear buzzing around in our minds that we have trouble thinking. We have trouble really focusing on what is the issue. So one of the ways to deal with fear is to start by calling out what is the fear. Write down what is the problem. What is the real problem? What is the root cause problem that I'm facing here? What is it? Get it down on paper. Somehow that process of getting it out of your head and onto paper brings clarity. And you'll probably find that it's not that easy to do because you've got so much buzzing going around in your head, it's hard to get that clarity, but it forces you to do that, to really isolate out what is the actual problem. Then you think about, okay, what's the worst that can happen? All right, we're running out of cash. And in business, the biggest fear you're ever going to have is running out of cash. Once you run out of cash, you're out of business pretty quickly. So that's always a big fear. So, okay, we're running out of cash. What's the worst thing can happen? I can't pay my taxes. I can't pay my social insurance. I can't pay the salaries. All right, so what's the worst thing's going to happen? And what happens as a result of that? Well, the government's going to take the money out of my bank account. The staff are going to quit because they think the company's going under. And you start to nominate out what is the worst possible things going to call these things out. What is the problem? What are the worst things that could possibly happen? So, having done that, got some clarity, then we look at, okay, see what the problem is. I see what the ramifications of that problem are. What can I do about it? And then we start to think about, well, what's available to me? And you start coming up with ideas. I could get the staff to give me a bit of time here, maybe take a lesser amount of salary just for a couple of months till we get back on our feet, explain to them what's happening. They understand the situation, they're working here. Maybe I can negotiate with the government on the social insurance payments, or I can delay payments or part pay, or any number of things become possible when we clear our mind and we start to apply some thoughts to what is possible. Then, having listed up all of those things that are possible, then we select what's the best thing. What's the most impactful, most high priority item I should start with? What is that? And what is the next one? What is the next one? And suddenly we have a plan. Instead of having just chaos and fear and sort of a mental whiteout because you can't think. Now you've called it out. What is the issue? What is the worst that's going to happen? Confront what is the worst that's going to happen. Confront it completely. Call it out. Look at it. Stare it down. What is it? Nominate it. Okay, I know that. Well, what can I do? Then you start to get ideas on resolving that. Pick the best ideas, prioritize them, do them. So that's how we can deal with fear in the workplace. And we always have fear in the workplace, either as a staff member or as a leader or as an owner. There's always something driving us to make us fearful. Here are some hints on how to deal with it. And if you do what I've just suggested, you will find a way forward out of this situation that you're in at the moment. And that is always a great, great thing to be able to do.